Hello and welcome to the All Rookie Podcast. Today is May 31st, 2025, and I'm your host, William Harris, aka William is Bill. Follow me on X at William is Bill. And today I wanted to talk about the NBA draft withdrawal deadline. That just came up. And I wanted to mention the guys that possibly were going to enter this draft but decided to pull out at the last minute. A lot of talented guys pulled out in this draft, and it affects the trajectory of this draft because there's a lot of guys that have first round potential that decided to go back to college. So that's what this is about. And I'm going to go over the top 12 guys that decided to go back to school. And if you hadn't heard, that's what this is for. So let's get straight to it like it's nothing to it. There was about 14 notable names that decided to return to school. I'm going to go over 12 of them. Two of them dropped out, well, went back to school a little bit earlier. So we'll get to them in a second. I'm gonna start at the top of the list going down. Now, the top prospect that dropped out and withdrew from the NBA draft, decided to go back to college, was Yaxel Lindeborg. He is a 6'9" forward from UAB, 22 years old. So that's rare when you have a 22-year-old who decides to go back to college. But it's happening more frequently now because of the NIL. And that's the majority of reasons why all these guys are going back to college because they're going to transfer or get more NIL money than they would going into the NBA. But Yaxel Lindeborg, I don't know if that was the right decision. I had him ranked 27th in this draft. ESPN had him ranked 26th. So he was right there in the first round. Could move up, could move down. But apparently he heard something he didn't like or the NIL money was just speaking to him. But I'll give you a brief description on Yaxel. Um, First thing I said, that age, 22 years old, people will hate that, but he's going to be 23 next year. We will see. But he stood out playing against younger players to me. He's a great rebounder. Once he gets going, he has great speed attacking. Sometimes he does a little too much out there. And that's probably because he was at UAB and he was the man in the NBA. I'm sure he could tone it down all right. But he's a good three-point shooter for his size, very athletic, a little boxy in shape and movement. But, he gets the job done. The fact that he can play outside and inside will help him tremendously in the league. He runs the floor very well, very smart player, knows how to get himself into position to score. Yaxel Lindeborg is a great defender, moving his feet, getting steals and blocks, great help defender as well. He kind of plays like Michael Beasley a little bit to me, you know. So I thought he had good prospects coming into this draft, but Yaxel Lindeberg, the best player that decided to go back to college. Next on the list is Tahad Pettiford, the 6'1" guard from Auburn, 19 years old. So he's still young enough to where it's not going to hurt him too much. But the issue is he's not going to get any taller. So I don't think his draft stock will increase too much, but we will see. He's definitely going to get more NIL. I have him ranked 29th on my list. ESPN had him ranked 38th. So borderline first, early second type of player. He decided it was safer to go back to college. Because if you're in the second round, you're not guaranteed anything more than a two-way contract, really. And some of them don't even get that. So a two-way contract is thousands of dollars sometimes, It might be $200,000. So if he goes back to Auburn or another school pays more, he can get a million or $2 million. So that's why these guys are going back to school. But Tahad Pettiford, very small, but fast and shifty, very dynamic player that plays below the rim, good shooter. I just wish he was taller. The NBA doesn't give short point guards that much of a chance. So if you get it, you better show out or you better be drafted high because they're in and out of the league quick. But Tahad can create space, get a shot whenever or whenever. He's great at drawing the double team, kicking it out. He makes incredible passes. He only played 22 minutes per game, so those stats could be better next year. He had 11 points per game, 3 assists, 1 steal. But I figure he might not play much in his first year and be in the G League to develop a little more. But he decided he's going to do that in college. So Tahad Pettiford was second on the list. Third on my list is Milos Uzan or Uzan. I have him ranked 30th. ESPN has him ranked 41st. The 6'4" point guard from Houston, 22 years old. 11 points, 4 assists, and 1 steal per game. Shot 43% from three. I really liked his prospects in the NBA. But he has good size, obviously, good court vision, good passer, plays under control, always looking to make the right pass and assist his teammates. He's kind of a rare pass first point guard, team friendly point guard, and that's needed in this day and time. He doesn't rely on speed or athleticism to be effective, which is a good thing because that shows you how truly good he is and how good he would be for a team, especially a good team. I think he will have a very long career. He's not dynamic necessarily or super athletic, and he may never be an all-star, but he will play for a long time. He literally slices and dices the defense to get to the paint. So Milos Uzan decided to return to school. So we will see him next year, I'm sure. Next, LeBaron Fallon. He was in the 30s on my list. ESPN has him at 43. The 6'4" point guard from Alabama, 19 years old, averaged 10 points, 4 assists, 1.5 steals. Super fast point guard, great handle and crossover. He is young, and I'd love to see him in 2 years when his body fills out more. So that lets you know right there, he's kind of doing the right thing going back to college. But trust and believe, LeBaron Fallon has a bright future. He shoots it a little slow from three, and as his game overall reminds me a bit of Terquavion Smith, and he was a dynamic talent 2 years ago. He never got a chance in the NBA, and now he's, I think, playing overseas. So I guess LeBaron did not want to go that route. He wants more of a secured spot in the draft, so he'll get more of a chance. But he's very talented, needs to improve his three-point shooting and get some weight on him. But he's a very crafty ball handler, always trying to get to the paint and find the open man. And I wrote, expect the G League his first year, but he does have potential. So next on the list, Otega Oweh. I have him ranked, and before I could even get it marked down officially, I just put in the early 30s because he's really talented. ESPN had him ranked at 72nd. That's ridiculous to me. People seem to be nitpicky on him, but I like what I saw. He 6'5" guard from Kentucky, 22 years old, averaged 16 points, 5 boards, 2 assists, 1.5 steals, and 35% from three. He's a clutch player, very athletic shooting guard, great at getting steals and converting them into transition, very effective getting to the rack. Teams had trouble stopping them from getting to the paint. He's not laid back. He and take what the defense type of player gives him. He's always in attack mode. He uses his body to create space, has a quick first step, good three-point shooter, has a little hitch in his shot that I did not love, but he still is a good shooter. Some people think his shot is not real, his percentage is not real, and they say that that's why they over criticize him about that. But the thing I would say is if he changed his shot a bit, then maybe they would believe it a little bit more because his shot is a little bit weird, but he still shoots at a pretty well clip. Very crafty finisher in the traffic, very smart player with the NBA ready body. His body out there looks like Lou Dort, so he's ready to play. Strong shooting guard. He can dribble and create for himself. I thought Otega Oweh deserves to go no later than 38 in this draft. But the NBA had other plans, and they say he's going to get a lot of money to return to Kentucky. So Otega Oweh was next on the list. Next, and he is my sixth player on this list, Carter Knox, the 6'6" guard from Arkansas. I had him ranked. I have it written down somewhere between 44 and 48. I didn't narrow it down right away exactly, but ESPN had him ranked 56th. So remember, there's going to be 59 draft spots in this draft. One team has lost a pick. Every year it seems like a team or two loses a pick. But ranked in the second round. But when you're mocked to go in the 50s, it's hit or miss whether you're going to get drafted. In my opinion, he's better than that. He should be in the 40s. But 20 years old, only averaged 8 points. But he's a true shooting guard that can really move and do more than just shoot. Some guys have a better three-point percentage, but that's not everything. He can really, really shoot the ball. And he's 3 years younger than some of these guys that you see out there that are doing the same type of stuff. He can get his own shot, pull up and hit the mid-range J. He's not going to change your team, but he's a really good player with really good potential, and that was Carter Knox. So make that money going back to school. Number 7, Alex Condon, the 6'11" big man from Florida, 21 years old. He's ranked 31st on ESPN. He was probably going to be in my 40s. I didn't see much out of him to make me that excited to have him 31st. From my notes on him are no hops was the first thing I wrote. But he's a solid power forward. He plays like he's much shorter than he is. He can shoot a three very well. I think he can be a bench player for a team, but he's not special. Alex Condon has a few post moves, not really strong in the paint. He's a solid shot blocker, has soft touch on his hook shots, good passer when doubled, can put the ball on the floor a little bit, but I wasn't seeing 20s and 30s at all. I think that was the right decision to go back to school. Next on my list, number 8, Isaiah Evans, the guard from Duke, 19 years old. He's ranked 44th on ESPN, and he probably is in that range for me as well. 8 points and 1 rebound per game. 41% from three was the thing that stood out. But from his evaluation, he's basically just a spot up 3-point shooter. And I wrote, I don't know why he is coming out early. He should stay in college and develop his game. I guess he listened. Even though most role players in the NBA play a role, in college they still were able to do other things at a high level. And he basically hit 2 threes per game. That's just not going to cut it to be drafted and to succeed in the NBA. He listened. But he does have great length and a long wingspan. But we need to see more out of Isaiah Evans next year at Duke, and I think we will, and his stock should rise. Because, like I said, he's 6'6". He's a little light frame, 175, but he's at Duke, and he's a great shooter, so he'll be all right. Next on the list, Mackenzie Mgbako, sorry. Mackenzie Mgbako, the 6'8" from Indiana. He's a sophomore. He's ranked 58th on ESPN. And not ranked on my list. Averaged 12 points, 4.5 boards, shot 33% from three. On Mackenzie Mgbako, good size, good shooter. He's more of a spot up shooter than anything. And I wrote he probably should stay in school. He's nothing special, just a solid guy. And that's no disrespect, but that's just what I see watching the film. And fortunately, he decided to listen to that and return to school. Maybe he can develop a few more skills and get drafted next year. Next on the list, Boogie Flan, the point guard from Arkansas. He's ranked 42nd on ESPN. He was in the undrafted territory, maybe to 50s in my list. Averaged 13.5 points, 5 assists, 1.5 steals, 34% from three. What I got from his tape, he's a scrappy defender. He's great at getting steals, but he does look small out there. So he's 6'2", listed at 6'2". He might be 6'1", 6 foot. So I didn't see nothing that stood out for him to come out of college early. So that's good. Boogie Flan is going back to school. Next on my list, number 11, Miles Bird, the 6'6" guard out of San Diego State, 21 years old. He's ranked 51st on ESPN. Would be in the 50s or undrafted on my list. 12 points, 4.5 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals per game, and 1 block per game. Shot 30% from three. Now, Miles Bird has a very thin frame. Like I said, 6'6", 182. We just talked about Boogie Flan, 6'2", 210. So that's a point guard much bigger than a small forward shooting guard. But very thin frame, great size and athleticism, but he will need to be in the G League for his first year for sure because of his frame and he needs to be better from three. He has long arms that help with blocks and steals. He's 21, but he looks 18 out there. He doesn't really do anything great. He's good or solid at a lot of things, and his potential is intriguing. People like his defensive capabilities. But that's why I was not that high on Miles Bird. I'm glad he went back to school, and maybe he'll transfer. Some of these guys have already decided where they're going to transfer, but this is not a college podcast. I'm more concerned about why they are returning, not where they're going. But look out for Miles Bird if you're interested. And next on my list, Darian Williams, 6'6" forward guard from Texas Tech. And I did hear he may transfer to NC State, but ESPN had him ranked 46. For me, I didn't even get to his tape. Right when I was about to start evaluating, he decided he was going to return to school. So there's that. And then there was two other guys that decided to go back to school as well, a bit earlier than these deadline guys, and that was PJ Haggerty. Didn't even get to his tape. He decided he was going back to school. And Jalen Lowe. And Jalen Lowe was good. I figured he would be drafted this season, maybe around 40 to 45, but he decided to go back to school. So that surprised me a little bit. I would say Jalen Lowe, Yaxel Lindenberg for sure, Otega Oweh, Milos Uzan. Those were the main guys that surprised me for going back to school. But like I said, we're in a new age, new time. It used to be guys were hungry, didn't have money. I gotta feed my family. I'm going to the NBA. Now it's I'm hungry. I'm having the time of my life. I'm gonna feed my family even more in college, returning to college. And I'm not gonna get lost in the shuffle of the G League and not making it over there, being stuck in the G League, taking bus rides everywhere, and then going overseas. So people want a secure landing spot, and that's why I decided to stay in college. So shout out to these guys taking advantage of it. I feel so bad for the players before them, like 2 or 3 years before them going on back. They did not have these type of opportunities. Some of them probably would have stayed in college and got that NIL money, but there was no NIL. So they had to come out early and they never made it, or they just went to G League and got lost in the shuffle. So shout out to these guys. And I figured this would be a good pod for you guys to hear about the guys withdrawing. And I've heard some pods where they're talking about some of these guys like they're superstars. Most of these guys should have returned to school. And I heard a pod or two where they were just praising Miles Bird, praising Boogie Flan, praising Mackenzie McBacko, praising Alex Condon, and I'm like, no, they should have went back to school. They made the right choice. So I'm gonna give it to you straight. From what I see, this is what I see. Like I said, some of these guys I wish would have entered the draft, but that's gonna make the draft that much more intriguing. A lot of guys that would have been in the 40s and 50s are gonna be moving up to the 30s and 40s. So that's gonna affect the draft because we got 12 guys I had listed and two other guys that came out a little bit earlier. So 14, 15 spots are gone. They're gonna be moving guys up. So this draft was pretty deep. It's getting pretty shallow. So I would say the top 40 right now are looking good. But 40 to 59, 41 to 59, it'd probably be shots in the dark. So, but we'll see. Draft coming up, and I couldn't do my 21 through 30 ranking because all these guys are dropping out left and right. But I can do that now. Figured I'll let you know who dropped out first. And until next time, guys, subscribe, like, rate, review, all that good stuff. And I'm out of here. Peace.